Father, oh Abba, I offer you my will, I offer you my life, I surrender. Father, oh Abba, I offer you my will, I offer you my life, I surrender. Righteous Father, if it is within your will, make me worthy so that you may use me fully. Righteous Father, if it is within your will, make me worthy so that you...
Hello everybody, I am Vassula Ryden. I have been speaking in another program before, so I have given an introduction of myself, but today I'll just give you another small and brief introduction. I am Greek Orthodox, and I say Orthodox because it's going to be a subject about spirituality. So I'm Greek, but married to a Lutheran, and my husband is Swedish, so that's why I'm called Ryden. Now, I had this extraordinary encounter, I would say, or manifestation with God back in 1985. And it's something that I've been asked to share with all of you. And so I will do it, because I've done other programs for other people too. And I want to share my experiences and the message that I have been receiving now for 13 years, because if you see that it's 1985, today we're 1999. They are still continuing, these manifestations, and the gift that God has given to me is called locutions. Locutions means interior voice. It's distinctive, clear that there is this call first, your call, you feel it within you. Then he gives interior visions to be able to transmit everything to others. This gift is not, as he said, is not to be kept for yourself, but to be able to give it to others, and it's for the benefit of the church. When God intervenes, he usually does intervene when times are getting very bad. And when I say bad, it is the whole Christian world is being de-Christianized, if you want. That people that once believed do not believe, once that they were fervent goers in the church, they don't go so much anymore, and there is atheism that's growing into the world today because of rationalism. Now, whenever something happened that disturbed, if you want, the flow of the spirituality of the church, something goes wrong, God always intervened. And why? It's not just so that he comes and twists our arms and says, yes, you must believe because I exist. No. If he intervenes, it's for our own good. Because we are today here, living in this world, but tomorrow, when we leave this world, we go somewhere else. And he wants us to be all in heaven. He doesn't want to lose anybody. Now, I know there will be skeptical people saying, well, heaven doesn't really exist and all this is a myth and all this. Well, this is what I'm talking about. That's why God intervenes, because of this sort of people that have lost their faith. And I was one of them, but not that I've totally lost my faith. I was not a churchgoer at all. I was not even looking for God at all. Now, it came in 1985, something that, as I said in my previous film that I made, I was not looking for God when God intervened, and he chose me. He didn't come to me directly. He sent my guardian angel first to bring me to God after a big purification, after seeing all the sins that offended God in the past before 1985. And when I realized how I offended, because he showed them to me with the spiritual eyes, if you want, of my soul, and I saw, if you want, the past coming back to life again, and I saw them with God's eyes. After that purification, because I really regretted all what I had done, God was already preparing me to meet him. And when I did, God the Father appeared in a sense interiorly again and asked me to pray the Our Father, which I did, but it was not well said. Now, I said in the previous movie that he wanted me to say it with my heart, with intimacy, and like a child who speaks to his father. After this, I will continue now this program with who is and how is our Father in heaven, because we have completely lost the picture of our Father in heaven. And in fact, if we are so away from the church, like I was so far away that anybody who started to talk to me about God, I said, oh, come on, please, don't come and preach to me. I'm not interested, you know. I was that sort of person. But it seems like as if God had to come and break the door to me so that he converts me. And I think that nobody, not even a priest or anybody who is a very good speaker, could have done this to me, except when God himself came and broke this barrier that between he and I. Now, many will ask, first of all, let me reply to this, because I know there are many in the heads of the people, why did he choose you? Who are you? You know, in other words. Well, this was a question that I asked him many, many times. I used to say, why did you come to choose me? You're speaking to me. I know you. I feel the call. You're taking my hand even, because I felt my hand being taken. And when I heard the words, I used to write them, changed my whole writing. It wasn't my little writing. It was nice and irregular writing. There are many supernatural manifestations. So I used to ask him, why did you come to me? I never went to church. I never prayed. I never thought of you. I can't say that I loved you because I did not know you. So why do you come to me telling me that you're going to give me messages to transmit to the people? And first of all, how and where and in which way would I go and transmit these things to people? They will not believe me. They will just tear them into pieces, whatever I give them, like confetti, and throw them over me. So for me it was a big problem to digest, because I would say, just put yourself in my position. Like suddenly you don't believe in all these things, and then suddenly you hear God, and he's there, his presence is there, he speaks to you, and he tells you it is I, God, your Father, who speaks to you. But when he speaks, he also gives you the grace to believe that it is happening. So you would have a problem. You would say, why me? Is it possible that you come to me and speak to me in such a simple way? And you will have doubts coming up. It will be waves of doubts which torment you, because these doubts were really tormenting me. And I would always reject and say, no, it can't be. And then his answer would be, I chose you because you are the most wretched person on this earth. Did you not know that wretchedness attracts me? He would say. And so I didn't know what the word wretched meant in exactly God's thinking. It means the most miserable, the most, I would say, miserable creature on earth. It doesn't mean bad in a sense of, having committed crimes and all this, but misery. Misery in the sense of the soul. In the miserable souls, he would go to them and speak to them. Wretched for God, as somebody had explained to me, a priest, does not mean the wretched that we believe. It means a misery that God pities. And so he comes and intervenes. And he says, through your wretchedness, I shall show my mercy. That means whoever believes that he's wretched, there's still hope for you, because God will go and intervene and raise you. He goes even to the wretched. So through my wretchedness, I shall show my mercy. So when God the Father had spoken in this way, I felt him so much, I would say, intimate with me. And that is what he wanted. And that is why today, if so many people do not believe in God or believe in God and say, but yeah, he's somewhere up there, it is because they have intellectualized God. And that is absolutely wrong. And most of the people have really intellectualized God. They read God, yes, on paper, printed, the word God. But they don't make a real picture of God as a father, as a person, a divine person, who has ears, eyes, who watch you, and has a heart that can be touched by the things that you do and the words that you say to him, and by your behavior. This is the whole thing. And God had asked in the beginning, the Father, come to me as a child and speak to me from your heart, and I shall listen to you. Don't make complicated prayers that they will never reach me and they are said by your lips only. Just come to me in simplicity of heart and speak to me. And once later on, because the manifestation first was the angel, then came the Father, and after the Father came Jesus, who spoke. Now, Jesus came, I will talk to you in another subject, in another time, about Jesus, because Jesus came to me as an Orthodox, as a Sacred Heart. And we do not have the Sacred Heart as such. We don't have the devotion of the Sacred Heart. We have the Pantocrator, the Almighty Jesus, Jesus of Nazareth, if you want, Jesus Christ, the Anointed One. But the devotion of the Sacred Heart, we Orthodox, we did not have. And I'm an Orthodox, as I said, and he came to present himself to me as the Sacred Heart. Now, coming back to the Father, Jesus once described the Father, and these words are really the exact words. They are not many, but it describes and reveals a portrait of our Father, or if you want, reveals the heart of our Father in heaven, our Creator. He said, my Father is King, yet he is so motherly. He is Judge, yet so tender and so loving. He is the Alpha and the Omega, that means the beginning and the end. Completely almighty and powerful, yet so meek. So this was the description of our Father in heaven. And my experience with the Father has always been this experience of meekness, tenderness, love. Whenever the Father spoke, I always heard him in this way, very gentle. I heard him also upset in other messages when God the Father speaks, and he was upset about us, of how we are behaving in our times, in our morality, and all this. And he tells us everything. But he comes to us as a father, to reproach us as a father, reprimand us, but not to condemn us. And we can be condemned in the day of judgment. And that depends, as God said in one of the messages here that I received, he said, in the judgment day, everybody will be judged according to the measure of the love you have had here on earth. So that is why the love is very, very important. To act with love, to pray with love, to fast with love, to whatever you do, to do it with love and offer it to God. All these will be counted one day. Now, the Father had asked me in the beginning if I wanted to love him more, and I had said yes, but I cannot do it alone. He said he would help me, and he will teach me how to progress in the love. Now, you would say, why does he come to you and speak to you, Vassula? What about us? I'm just repeating again that this message that God the Father has given to me, without any merit, it is not for me only. Otherwise I would be happy in my own little house, enjoying his presence without any problems, having to go out, transmit it, having to face people who look at you and say, ha, do you believe her? She's a false prophet, she's inventing all this. And I have all these things on my head, yet I have to continue. because God wants me to continue in this mission. He has given me so much, and he says, now you be my echo. Go out to the nations and give what I have given you. And I have been taking dictation for 13 years. The first 3 years where I was hidden, I would say, because God did not want his message to make it known. He just wanted me to keep writing all what he was giving me. So I used to write everything. Although he was telling me, go out and give it. So the pressure was on me. He was saying, go out, and yet he was not giving me the possibilities. And yet he was saying to me, don't go out yourself and say, look what I have. I will bring the people all the way to your doorstep, and then when they come to your doorstep and ask you about the message, you give it to them. But you yourself, don't throw yourself out to go and say, God wants me to go to you. No, I will send them to you to be invited. And that is how the mission will be. Many times, in the beginning, when God the Father was dictating to me, and it was very fresh still, you see. I was a person who was running to the clubs, playing tennis, had friends, cocktail parties, the whole lot, I would say, in these developing countries where my husband worked. And so it was difficult for me sometimes to find myself morning, lunch, afternoon, in this room writing, because he was dictating to me all these things. And I said, look at the nice weather, and I'm not even meeting my friends. And one day I said, all right, if it is you, because I had also doubts, if it is you giving me all this dictation, these things, nobody will know about them. All these papers that I've been writing now will finish in a drawer and collect dust. Nobody would even read this. He said, I am God, and what I have blessed and commenced, I will finish, and I will send you to all nations to give and transmit my message. I will not let anybody not know about it, but I will give the possibility to every nation to read my love letter to them. And he called it his love letter, although the title is called True Life in God. True Life in God. But he calls it his love hymn, he calls it his love letter to all humanity. Because I want you to know that when God the Father speaks, when he speaks, he doesn't come to speak to crush you down and condemn you. He comes to give you hope, to lift you, tell you, hey, you are my child, but you forgot me, Come back to your senses, because I'm your only father, and one day you'll finish up in my courts, and I want you to come up in my courts. I don't want you to be lost. So he comes back and tries to put some sense in our heads and asks us certain things that many people do not practice anymore. Like, turn to God. Have him as first. Pray. That's the key. The contact to God is prayer. Because when you pray, you speak to God. And it becomes a prayer. And the most powerful prayer that he has given us is called the unceasing prayer. Now you'll say, what is this unceasing prayer? Well, I'll tell you when I'm going to speak about Jesus, what the unceasing prayer is. In the next, probably, program, I will speak about the unceasing prayer and what Jesus, how he taught us, and he teaches us. I say us because it's for you also, the message. And in fact, he says, take away Vassula's name from the beginning and put in your name, because I'm speaking to you and to everybody. It's not only for Vassula, this message. Because if it was for Vassula, I would have her hidden, and she and I would have these messages for herself. But it's for the benefit of everybody. And I had a problem in the beginning to really believe that this is happening to me, and to digest that our Creator is really speaking to me. I had never heard in my life before that God is giving locutions, this word locution, that God is speaking inside the soul, but distinctively, word for word. Even words in English that I never knew before, I got to know from God. One day he said, for instance, and he was sad, he came and he started with a word, let me think, now I can't remember right now even the word, but I will give you another word that I've learned from him. He said, when you think of me and when you pray to me, I become infatuated. The word infatuated, that's, what is this word, infatuated? And I look at the dictionary later on, and I found that they give an example of a mother loving her child almost to craziness, loving the child so much she becomes completely taken by the child. And that is how God loves us. I mean, to folly, I would say. Now, the word that I was looking for, he started to say, and he was sad, and he was talking about our generation. He said, fastidious you have become. And I said, what is this fastidious? But from the tone of his voice, because I hear the voice, the way he thrust it, like, fastidious you have become, your generation. I said, what? This is very serious. So I looked in the dictionary later, and I found that fastidious is a mixture of a description that, fussy, difficult to please, ungrateful, all this in one word, fastidious. He says our generation is very difficult to please and ungrateful and selfish. And that made me sad, because when God came in a sad way, I felt him so, sad that I became sad myself. But since the subject is today the Father, I want to reveal more of the portrait of the Father. For instance, the Father made me approach him so much that I really blurted out one day, and I keep blurting out till today when I speak of the Father in my own language, I say, Dad. Dad told me this, and I say, okay, it is God whom I want to speak. But I feel him as Abba, in the scriptures. I feel him that really, there's no mistaken that he is our Father, and we are his children, in the spiritual way, if you want, but very powerful, more powerful than in the physical way. That I started to have a weakness for the Father. That means, in the good sense, that means I inclined to run to him and, tell my problems to the Father. And one day, I'll give you a picture of how he is also. I had a problem after some years, it was, when Jesus also came to speak to me and give me some messages. I was being persecuted by some people to the point that it was getting too much. And I wanted to complain to Jesus. So I came that morning and I said, Jesus, I have a complaint. This is happening, and you're not doing anything. You're looking at all this. And what did I do wrong? I mean, these people are really attacking me, tearing me to pieces. And I was complaining to him. And then I saw a vision. He gave me a vision to see that he was like in heaven listening, but the Father was near him, listening at the same time while I was complaining. And Jesus came out to say something to me, but the moment he was going to reply to me, I saw the Father looking at Jesus and pushed him behind with his arm and made him a gesture like that, no, I will do this for you. Let me do this thing. I'll take over this, And instead of Jesus came the Father, because I saw this vision. And the Father said to me, daughter, everything will be all right by tomorrow. I will intervene. And it was really this that happened. The next morning, it was sorted out completely well, and it was great because it was very, very precise how everything was sorted out. But this gesture of, let me take care, I will speak to my daughter, I felt like he was saying. And it was so powerful that in that message I wrote below, I have a weakness for the Father, but the Father has also a weakness for me, which shows the intimacy with the Father. And I want to really tell these people that they don't know the Father as such, to come to him as a child, like he wants. He wants this. I mean, that's why he's giving all these messages. And that's why he wants to revive their whole generation, to go back to him as it should have been, as he has given us his law and everything. So he says, like, come back to me in intimacy and love me in simplicity of heart. nevertheless, never forget that I am holy. And that means that all of us should be with reverence, respect him, honor him, praise him, but at the same time run to him like a child and speak to him from your heart, and he would hear you. And do you think that he, as a father, because now I have been in contact, if you want, with him in this way, by his grace, with his grace, for 13 years, wouldn't he get up the minute he sees you trying to do an effort, rush to you and lift you to him and press you to his heart? As a father, I know he would do it because he's done it to many who tried to go and approach him in this way. I thank you and bless everybody who hears me. Goodbye.